Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 512, recorded on January 23rd, 2025. On this week's episode with special guest host Casey, we talk about our top 10 games of 2024. Finally! Took us this long, but we're almost done with January, but finally we could talk about our top 10 games. Jesse, you know what to do.
What's up, everybody? It's Marty here, along with our normal cast of characters, plus the coolest man on the internet, literally, Casey Cool, for episode 512 of Nintendo Dads, recounting our Game of the Year 2024. I can't wait to see all these guys' lists, or hear all these guys' lists. But before we get to that, how you doing, guys? How is everybody?
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing great. Oh, great.
I'm doing better than last week. Let's put it that way.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Much better, it sounds like. So that's good.
Yeah, things aren't great, but I'm well enough to be on camera this week.
Good.
That's good.
Good. What about you guys? Justin, Casey, how's it going?
Yeah, doing great as always. Happy to be back here. We're 1 week past we're like in the afterglow of the Switch 2. All these new rumors and leaks are coming out. I feel like we're eating well. Xboxers had an amazing developer direct today, which kind of showcased some games they've got coming up in the next couple months, which if you're an Xbox fan, that's exciting. Man, so it's a great time to be a gamer. We are feasting, and man, we get an opportunity to sit around and talk about our favorite games of 2024, plus our community gives us their input as well. So that's going to be a great show. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see where all these games landed on everybody's lists. Do you know what I mean? Because I think somebody's were like, oh, that game's amazing. And someone's like, that game was trash. So I'm excited to see where that landed.
Yeah. Casey, what about you, man? How's things?
Just everything's nice and easy. There was nothing really big that happened this week. No big sweeping changes to the world. It was a very calm week for me, because I've been staying off the internet. That helped too, I think. I don't know. A lot of people seem riled up this week. But no,
good on you.
Good.
Stay away.
Yeah.
Stay away. Run away from it.
It's a bad place. Its siren song sings to me sometimes. I'll look at the YouTube Shorts algorithm or YouTube algorithm, like, I'll just watch a couple, and then it'll be like 8:30, and then I blink and I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, it's midnight. I've ruined my tomorrow.
Isn't that amazing when that happens?
And your mental health.
Yes. Oh no. Yeah. Sometimes though, my algorithm's nice because it's like I picked up. I've been trying to learn piano. That's my new goal for the year, and pick up an instrument. But the actual instrument I got, it's called a melodica. I don't know if you guys know what a melodica is. I'll show you. I have it here. I will not subject you to any playing of it. Maybe post show. But there's.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Baptiste.
Don't you you blow into it and play it like a keyboard?
It's like a harmonica. It's a horn that meets a keyboard. So it's this thing. John Baptiste, he's a famous pianist. Haha. Right. And the child, then we can't not say it. But he played one at like Carnegie Hall, and he was when he was at Juilliard, they knew him as that guy who played the melodica, and he's like, it's not a toy. So there's some high-end ones, so I got a cheap one, and then I keep sending my friends videos of me, like, I figured out a Creed song the other day, just tinkering with it, so I got a couple good laughs, and it's actually really fun. So I play that about 20, 30 minutes.
Can you do a video of you playing that 6 feet from the edge? Can you, that, please?
Hold on, I think, I'll give you one, okay?
Oh,
but okay. I got stage fright.
It's almost doing a little bit of
oh, is it cutting out? I'll do it out.
Cutting out there.
Yeah.
I'll cut it out.
Yeah,
that's really cool though.
Yeah. I picked up Song of Storms and some other ones, and then my son plays violin, and he's doing "You Got a Friend in Me." So I learned that song, and him and I have been playing it together, and it's been this nice little endearing moments in the house. Yeah. So
very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a week. I am currently traveling, which is why I may not sound or look like I normally do. Probably maybe an improvement, who knows? But I'm currently in a hotel room in downtown, the bustling metropolis of downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, where we have been at a conference and I had some amazing birria tacos earlier at a place called 423 Taco. If you're ever in Chattanooga, you need to check it out. It's fantastic, and we've just had a full day of driving down here, and the check engine light on my car coming on, and because we just need drama in our lives right now, right? But hey, here's what's not going to be dramatic. Our picks, well, maybe they will. Maybe I'm not going to say that. Our picks for the game of the year. So let's dive straight into this because it's going to be a big one, guys. Let's go.
Do we?
And our show is brought to us each and every week. The news is by all of our fine folks over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you get to join up with the greatest community on the internet. You get an ad-free version of the show. You get access to the Discord. You can participate in monthly mayhem. There's tiers over there that give you everything, not tiers like, Tim cries because the Detroit Lions lost, but tiers like TIERS, like $5, get you into the whole sub-channel list in Discord. You get $10 get you pre and post show audio, and $30 get you on the show as a Patreon producers or a Patreon producer, and you get to come on and hang out with us and have a great time. And we're very thankful for them. So whether you back us at the $30 level or just the regular $1 level, just know we love you. We're very thankful for you. It seems like every year, because of your support, Nintendo Dads grows, and we're able to have a better year after year after year. And your support means that we get to do things like go to PAX and support us being able to create content by purchasing games and equipment and systems and things like that. And so it really means a lot it means a lot that the people from the internet would come together and say, hey, yeah, I want to support that. And so it really does help. If you head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads and even just $1 a month. And each Thursday is our weekly update that you can read and now comment on, even if you do not subscribe or become a patron of the show. So you can comment on there. You can read that update, see our YouTube videos from the week, see upcoming games we think you should be aware of that they release, news that might be on the show, the question of the week, all that great stuff. Every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central is when that releases. And so you can go check that over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. So, guys, it is, as Tim said, almost through the month of January in 2025, and we would be remiss if we didn't talk about our games that we feel are our top 10 games of 2024. We've been asking you for your list, and we're going to take that into account as we also tell you our lists. And, guys, I think it would be a good idea, and just you can say no, you can do this, if all of us started at 10, counted down to 1, and we do those one at a time. All right, so everybody gives their 10, everybody gives their 9, everybody gives does that make sense?
Agreed.
Instead of one person doing their whole list going straight through. So with that being said, Casey, you're our guest. You always get to go first.
Oh man. Oh, that's so nice. Because being dad of the house, dad never gets to go first, right? We got to do that. So this is a first. I chose a game that is a franchise that's near and dear to my heart, and I got to do the code for us on the show. That's One Piece Odyssey that came to the Switch. It was a PlayStation exclusive. I'm a huge One Piece guy. I've been watching it since I was 12, 13. When it was on 4Kids Media on Fox, and Sanji, who always smoked cigarettes, they had to do yourself a favor, go watch YouTube videos of the 4Kid edits of One Piece. Like the guns looked like squirt guns or had like weird things on it. Sanji, who smoked, always had a sucker. They did some really weird editing in it. And but I just love a One Piece side-off story, and they do a really good job of it. And if you are a One Piece fan, you won't learn One Piece lore. This is for probably someone that loves One Piece. They just did a really knock it out of the park job of a JRPG. And it's nice and light, and you can just play it in little chunks and feel good about yourself.
And if you're a One Piece fan today, Lego announced a collaboration with One Piece. So again, I'm sure like Roger's base is losing his mind right now. We'll talk to him.
I didn't hear about this one, but that's cool.
Yeah. It's
did see
based off
that.
the live action, and I am beyond pumped for that too. So that
That's
is
cool.
yeah. So yeah, that was my number 10. Just a nice JRPG to start the list. Something nice and light.
All right, so Casey, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add a little chaos
Okay,
to the mix. You get to pick the next person who gives their 10.
Tim.
And then from then on, whenever you're done, that person picks the next person.
Okay, love it.
All right.
I'm gonna go Tim.
All right. Thanks, Casey. All right. My number 10 is going to be Endless Ocean Luminous. Because when it came out, I spent a lot more time in that game than I expected I would. And especially had fun when going online and playing with other divers. And just it was a lot more fun than I expected. And it was a very relaxing game to be able to just dive in the water. You're not being chased by anything necessarily, or having to go, do anything that you like attack things. You're just going to take pictures and scan things, and you're trying to find even some artifacts in the water too, which I thought was pretty cool. So I think Nintendo did a really good job, especially what you could do with that on the handheld, but still feel like it was, immersive. So I had fun with it. That's my number 10, Endless Ocean Luminous.
All right, pick
Who you
somebody.
picking?
I'm going to pick, let's go with Jesse.
Okay. So as I mentioned in the pre-show, I built my list throughout the year, and when we started talking about it, I had 9. So I needed to come up with a game that I liked enough to put on the list, but not enough that it was in my face at the time to put it on the list right away. And what I came up with was Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. It's like I had 2 good weeks with the game and then went with it, but I did like the 2 weeks. I just got sick of it pretty quick.
Okay.
Nice.
Go Justin.
My number 10, and I will be very honest with you, this game just about got kicked off my list at number 10. But I figured after I spent a total of 35 hours playing this game, it had to land somewhere on my list. And shockingly, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is my number 10 game. And it could have been higher if it actually cared about my time. And that last 10 hours, it certainly didn't. And I just got angry about it. And I brute forced my way through it. I just about swapped this for Mario or Luigi's Mansion 2 just to spite it. But I'm going to sit at number 10, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Okay. Well, that leaves me for this round. And so I am going to say my number 10 game of 2024 is The Plucky Squire. I really wanted to love this game more than I did. But there's just some issues with it. Number one, you guys know from listening to the show a lot that I'm not like a tech spec type person, but this game had glaring glitches that would freeze you in place. It also had huge performance issues on the Switch. That's where I played it. And dadgummit, it doesn't need to hold my hand as much as it does. It talks way too much. It tutorials way too much. But that being said, I love the concept of this game. I can't wait. I hope that they do a second one. But that's why it didn't land higher on the list for me, because there were times where, like Justin with Thousand Year Door, I was just playing it to be done. I just brute forced my way through the game. The other gripe that I have with it is the absolutely arbitrary health of the enemies. Like you fight the same enemies through the entire game.
You scale, but the enemies seem to also scale. Like,
yes,
what's the point?
Terrible. There's no point in there's no point in the game where you feel powerful at all. Like, usually at the end of like a Zelda game, it gives you that moment where like you've collected all the items, You've got all the tunics. You've upgraded the sword, and now you're just buzz sawing through everybody. Not in the Plucky Squire. So again, I enjoyed it, but not as much as I thought I would. I was super hyped for that game, but that's why it's at number 10.
The aesthetics were so good too, though.
Oh yeah,
The aesthetics,
Yeah.
the look, the idea, like the
like I said,
concept
there's
around
lots
it,
to,
great.
yeah, lots to love about the game, but it was clunky, and that at the end, it just sometimes a lot of times it wasn't fun to play. But where it did experiment and where it did do different things, I thought it was nice that it did those things. So it's number 10. For my pick, let's go to Jesse for number
Okay,
9.
so my number 9, I have Princess Peach Showtime. Is another game that I did play through. Felt, but the back half it was almost hate playing. I kind of dreaded every new level, and I was really disappointed with the final boss.
Yeah.
But with this of a year, this is the year where I didn't play as many variety of games that I normally do, so this one was managed to stay up on the list as it's my number 9.
Good. It's good to see it made someone's list.
Okay, let's go, Tim.
All right. My number 9 is unfortunately didn't get higher because for me, might have been my mindset at the time of playing this game. I just wasn't feeling the Metroidvania of it. But my number 9 is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Mm.
It didn't go higher for me because again, it started off great and I was enjoying it, but then it was like felt like it was dragging on for me. And like I said, it just could have been my mindset at the time where I was just like, so other things were starting to, get my interest and I wanted to just be done with the game so I could move on. Pardon me. So sorry about that.
You all right?
Yeah,
Hey, you all right? You okay?
still trying to get over that long COVID stuff. So every once in a while I get that cough. So, but yeah, Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. It may be a higher game on the list if I go back to playing it, which I want to do is go back to play it again with a better mindset. Because again, it is a great Metroidvania, and I agree with the things that Justin said about the game. But for me, it just fell down to 9 because it didn't. For me, my bar is Metroid Dread, so it was like it didn't meet some of those things. But again, it could have been my mindset.
And I know of people who prefer Lost Crown over Dread.
Yeah.
So it's like Mario 3 or Super Mario World, which is your favorite game. It can go either way.
Right. Let's see. Let's go with Casey.
All right. For number 9 for me is Plucky Squire as well. Just everything Marty kind of said. The aesthetic is what really saved it for me. Also, I think it's really like just quaint. It was really enjoyable. Some of it's repeatable. Like when they introduced like the punch out stuff, the stuff with his sidekick that plays the drums, the timing on that, it just wasn't tight. Like it needed more time in the oven. I hope that developer makes something else. I think there's a lot of good things for it. Obviously, if it's in my top 10 games of the year, I do want to say too, I don't over like I think like 2023 was such a good year for games, and this was kind of the hangover year to me. And with like we're in this weird flux of like new things coming in the gaming world. I'm just it's hard. It's a hard year compared to last year game wise, but it was still unique in the story. The stuff in the storybook I enjoyed the most, right? Like when you're in there and the movie and the stuff, and then the little jokes. There were so many good things to it. So I really, really hope we see them again, the developer and that team, and they continue to just do awesome stuff.
I think this is interesting too because these games they made our
I'd
top
say
10.
also-
So that means that it's good enough to be on our top 10. It's just and we're trying to give the reason why it wasn't higher on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's just
as I was saying, if it was any other year, it probably wouldn't have been on our lists. But
no.
we
It-
were
yeah.
limited in our selections this year.
Yes. I'm gonna pass it to Marty because he was also a fellow like not liking the game or liking the game, but also seeing that it needed some more work.
Okay. My number 9 game of the year is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. This is also another game that I thought would be higher, but I love this game on the 3DS. I just found that it did not grab me the way I thought it would when it came up to the Switch. And I think probably because if of honestly because of when it launched. It was not a great time for that game to come out, at least for me. I had a lot going on. I was playing other stuff, and I just got distracted. And it's a game that to this day is sitting on my Switch unfinished. So I do want to go back to it, but and again, like Casey said, the fact that, or someone said, maybe it was Casey, the fact that it's on our top 10 doesn't mean that we hate the game. And there's going to be some other games that probably other people on this show are going to have in their top 10 that I don't have at all. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I hate those games. It may have fallen just a couple short because I have the system that I do where I rank each game against each other game. It's just my thing. They just fell out. They fell out of the list. But Luigi's Mansion had enough to keep me there, at least to make it number 9.
I completely forgot that game came out this year.
Steve?
It so feels. I agree with your statement of coming out in June, right?
Yeah,
It
I had to
feels
verify
like an
that it
October
came out
game.
in 24.
It should have been a spooky October game.
Yeah, and that's when they released number 3. It sort of just felt like they had games, and it was sort of like, let's throw them on the calendar and see where they make sense.
Sure,
And I think it was a byproduct.
but it
This is
didn't
the
make
last
sense.
spot. It didn't make sense. We're like, this is the last spot we could put it.
Yep. So I'm passing to Justin.
Yeah. So my number 3 actually is DLC.
9?
Yeah, my number 9 is DLC. Specifically, it is Splatoon 3 DLC in side order.
Nice.
Okay.
This changed it to a roguelike tower game, and it was a really unique experience that I think they sort of changed the Splatoon formula and added additional value, and it made me keep wanting to come back to it. It actually made me come back to Splatoon 3, which I hadn't played for a good amount of time, and I would just do runs. And so it sort of was a really, really cool experience. I really enjoyed it.
Good call.
I don't know who was missed.
You're the last one. Now we're
You're
going
the
on
last
number
one.
8.
Okay, cool. Heading over to number 8, Tim, let's head to you.
Perfect, because that is my number 8 is Splatoon side order. So I don't even have to say anything else. I agree. It was fun to mess with that formula a bit and be able to play Splatoon, but in a single player mode. And because I suck at the multiplayer one, so I had a lot of fun with being able to do the side order and on my own and play that and come back to it every now and then. And it's still on my Switch, and I'll go to it every now and then when I'm just in the mood to just try to run for it. So I agree. Splatoon 3 side order. I'm gonna go with on the list above me is Marty. So Marty, go for it.
All right. This may be my most controversial top 10 pick of all time.
Oh wow.
And it's based on how much fun I had playing it and how many times I've returned to it. My top 8 game of 2024 is Hatch Tales.
Oh.
That's not controversial. That's awesome.
No, I don't. You are not the only person to mention the game. It's been mentioned in the community.
Finally came out this year, and y'all, it was an absolute delight. It was wonderful to lose myself in that game. I think it was around October that it came out, and I lost a solid month and some weeks to that afterwards, just diving back in, trying to get everything, get the 3 collectibles in each level. It looked fantastic on the OLED screen, which I played it handheld a lot, and diving in and playing some of the user created levels was super fun. And so I've not finished the actual Hatch Tales campaign part of it yet, but I did finish the Chicken Wiggle
That's
content.
nice.
And I almost subconsciously think I did that out of spite because that's what we were supposed to get in the beginning, and that was it. But I I don't know that I knew what the game played like, and so I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, to have as much fun with it. But like it just hit at the right time when I needed a game that I wanted to just I could pop into and pop out of really quick, and it was perfect for that. And so that's why that's why it's on the list. I don't think it would have ever been higher, but that's why it's higher than the other two games because those games were like a time investment. This was
Yeah.
not. I can still go in and play it when I want to, and it's like I'm not losing any story. I'm not losing, I'm not losing. How do I play this? Uh, you know, it's simple, and that's what puts it in the eight slot for me.
That's in the
Uh,
honor. That's in the honorable mentions for me.
okay, okay.
So
Hey
I
Justin,
enjoyed it too. So, but it didn't make my top 10.
hey Justin, we'll throw to you.
My number 8 is another Crab's Treasure.
Ooh.
This came out, I think it was March or April. I had an opportunity to get some hands on early for it in 2023 when I was at PAX West. Had a great time. This is a great team, the Argo Crab team. Lots of fun. It is a Dark Souls game that is has a great writing and sense of humor to it. Truthfully, I will say it is a bit challenging on the Switch in relation to it's probably not optimized as much as they want it to be, and they have been putting out patches over the last year to kind of make it more optimized, which is great. I also love just the accessibility perspective of it. If they said like we don't want you to get to a point where you're so frustrated you don't move forward because we believe there's a story here. There's some great writing, some great VO that you can get engaged with. So if you get a spot like a boss battle where hey, it's too hard, you turn on the scroll with a gun, and it's literally you have a gun and you shoot the thing once and it's done. Boss fight is done. You can move on, which is awesome. I love all the collectibles for the shells, the different abilities that they add. It's a game that I would always very find myself doing that one more run, or I finally beat this boss, or I finally beat this enemy and I'm moving forward. My palms are sweaty, right? And I'm looking for that camp, right? That spot that's going to save because I feel like I'm making that level of progression. Really great game. So I make sure you check out another Crab's Treasure, which is why it's my number 8. Casey, what's your number 8?
My number 8 comes back to the underpowered days. This was a indie release by I love a Metroidvania. This is Rebel Transmute. We had the creator Evan Tor on the show years ago when he was still developing it, and I got early access to it. And now that it's out, and that was in 2021. So I've been that was on my radar for a long time. It's a one-man project. It's just really cool because this actually is tale of two stories for me. It was really cool to see a person start a project and really believe in it and then fall through and make it right. Whereas my biggest disappointment of 2024 and one of gaming all time, Edian Chronicles 1000 or the 100 Heroes, that was like the biggest disappointment ever for me. As far as gaming, I uninstalled it. It crashed on me 4 times on the Switch. It wasn't optimized for the Switch, but I backed that game in 2020, and it was just like you wanted to believe in this project. It looked like something Octopath. It looked like something that was a Casey game, and then they just whiffed so hard on the Switch version. And then they tried to do too much. They did a lot of everything and nothing well. I know I'm turning this into a tirade on this game, but it sucks and it was really bad. No one should buy it on the Switch, and you should buy Rebel Transmute instead because that's a person that it was a one-person team that stayed true to his vision and made a really awesome Metroidvania for a good price. And it's just fun. It's something that you can play in chunks. I love Axiom Verge too, and this is a little more lighthearted, but he does really great pixel art. So it's a game that everybody should try. Rebel Transmute rules. So shout out on that one to Evan and his work on Rebel Transmute.
I added to my wish list.
Yeah. I'm gonna pass the rock to because now everybody's done their 8.
I think.
I'm
Well,
gonna
It does
go
my eight.
No, Jesse still has to do his.
Jesse.
I-
Oh, he had it written on the list. That's why I saw it, and I was like,
Oh.
oh, he hadn't seen it. Sorry, Jesse, you tricked
No.
me. Jesse, you're up. Go ahead. Now I know.
yeah. My number 8 is Balatro. I know
Mm.
everyone who's played it liked it in some form or another. Some loved it. Some went, yeah, that was exciting for a week, and then I put it away. I was kind of more in that back half. I didn't play it for very long. I don't think I ever won a run, but what I did play, I did like. Every once in a while, I do go back and try a run, but it hasn't got its teeth in me like it has for other people. So Blotter was my number 8. All right, let's go
Very
back to
nice.
Casey for his number 7.
My number 7 was my first time playing this game, and it was later for you guys. That was the Thousand Year Door. I got it for my son when he was sick one day. He had to stay. He missed a big field trip last spring. He got stomach flu. They were supposed to go up to Mount Rainier, and camp there, and it was a really sad thing. I was like, "Hey, let's buy this," and we stayed and played that. Mario, it's a Paper Mario game. They're always good. The writing in it is really fun, and you can see how that one's built on the other ones. Like because he loved Origami King, so it was a nice entry. It does handhold a little too much. It is definitely baby's first JRPG kind of for you, but it's still a fun game, and my time with it was just really lovely. And I like games I can connect to a memory. So sitting and playing with my son, that was a fun time.
Nice. Who's up
I'm
next?
gonna say I know I'm trying to think who I want to pick on. Justin, you're up. Go for it.
Number 7.
Yes.
Number 7, Neva. This came out, I believe, it was in October or November. This is from the same team who did Grease. If you want to talk about art coming to life, beautiful paint, this game is such a beautiful game and simplicity, and it is both simple and complex in the way it is presented. Not a lot of action buttons. The audio sound design is amazing. The environmental storytelling. They know they are crafting something they want you to be in awe of. And you can get to these scenes where the camera pulls out and there is painting this beautiful landscape with these colors that are vibrant. Just the sound call, the audio cue, just as calling Neva, the dog, right? And as a dog owner, having that dog react. Like I'm literally playing the game. I'm like, you're such a good boy, right? Like it has you feel that way. Um, it's also like it reminds me a little bit of something like Inside, right? Or Limbo.
Mm.
That sort of side. There's a story being told. You're going through scene by scene. I understand why it got nominated for so many Game of the Year nominations at Keeley's event. So Neva is my number 7.
Nice.
Marty, what's your number 7?
Uh, Ironically, the same as Casey. It is Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Because
Great minds think
I
alike.
I do, yeah, I do love this game. But two things, and this may get me in hot water with some people in our community. Number one, it does not hold up as well as some people think that it does. It is fairly slow and backtracky in different places. The underground is infuriating at some points. Like I don't want to go back down there. I don't want to have to go and take my whatever to the place. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to take the star to the place and do that.
Are you talking about Tears of the Kingdom, or are you talking about Thousand Year
Why?
Door?
I'm talking about Thousand Year Door.
No, I know. You said
The
underground.
combat.
Never
The
mind.
combat is fine, and I think it's reflective of that time being fine. You get what I'm saying? Like that it's good. It was good when it came out, but like the Paper Mario series and the Mario Luigi series both have evolved from that point. And so it just like I'm not like Justin where I had to hate force played my way through that, but it just didn't like there was a point at the end where I was like, oh my God, is there another level? Is there another part of this? And yes, there was. And it was almost like too much game. So 7. I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it was a trip down memory lane playing that game. Number 7. Let's go, Tim.
All right, I got a cough drop in this time. So, all right. My number 7 is Geometry Survivor. Um, I was a huge fan of Geometry Wars, especially for the DES, because that's where I got to play it the most. I didn't get to play it where it was on, I think, other systems, but I enjoyed that a lot. It's one of my favorites to go back to whenever I throw in a game on my DS or 3DS. But Geometry Survivor is basically your Vampire Survivor, but Geometry Wars, it uses those geometry shapes and stuff like that to kind of get
Interesting.
the same feel. And it was a lot of fun. Just trying to make a run, another one of those, roguelite games, and see how far I could get. And that's another one that stays in my Switch because I can just jump into it whenever I want. So Geometry Survivor is my number 7.
Cool.
Jesse, what's your number 7?
The the probably one of the funniest games of the year is Thank Goodness You're Here. It's kind of a short game, 5 to 10 hours, I think. I don't remember, but it's very British humor. So if you like Monty Python, this game will be right up your alley. And people don't talk about it as much as it deserves. So it was definitely in my list as number 7.
That's a good one to have on your list. I think that's awesome. That's one I keep on my wish list too. Maybe one day I'll get to play it.
Okay. Justin, your number 6?
My number 6 is Nine Souls. I talked about this game in late November. It came out. It is a Dark Souls 2D platformer Metroidvania where you are placed in a cyber samurai environment. It reminds me of games like Hollow Knight. And it's the writing is great. It grabs you right from the beginning. You've got to be good at learning how to parry. That's such a valuable aspect. But it definitely became like my go-to. I absolutely love Nine Souls. I think a lot of people actually missed it. But like when it came out on the Switch, but if you listen to a lot of top tens, it's actually in a lot of people's top
Because
tens
it was a late
for the
game,
year.
right? Came out late
It was
November.
late November. Like I think it was the same week as like Thanksgiving in the US. So I
Yeah,
think like
it came out on the
people just
26th.
missed it. But it is an absolute banger. Man,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
My buddy gifted it to me on Steam, and it's one that I keep looking at. And I'm like, I need to try that. That looks very
It,
fun.
it is definitely not one that I would play on my Switch on the go because like it's that twitchy kind of like I need to parry here kind of moment. You're squeezing your controller probably a little bit harder, right? So you don't want to bust off the Joy Cons. I think Tim, this would probably be a game that it's very Metroidvania esque. I think you'd probably like this too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have
probably
that on
more on
my
the
wish
Metroid
list.
side than the Vania side, by the way.
Yeah, that when you mentioned it before, I put it on my wish list too. It's got a lot of games on my wish list. Just I just need time to play them.
Time is the thing, right?
Yeah, I know.
Who you got next, Justin?
I'm gonna say Casey. We're at number 6, by the
Oh,
way,
okay.
Casey.
This might be kind of controversial because when it's not necessarily Switch, but it is a Nintendo property. And I think you guys can maybe guess where I'm going. Uh, TCG Pokemon Pocket, the card game for the mobile
Oh,
game. That is why
okay.
I'm a big Pokemon fan.
Interesting.
It's just fun. Especially, I don't know if you guys follow Pokemon card or collect Pokemon cards. I have some graded slabs. I like collecting the cards. Right now there's a big release of Prismatic Evolutions, which it's EVs and those were the days where like people were going to Target and Costco and those things you see on like social media where they're like, this is why I got off social media, where they're rioting in the store. Because like one of the cards raw, if you get the Moonbryon, is like $1,500 right now. You could sell it raw, not graded, right? So instead of spending my money and being crazy, I still get that dopamine hit of getting a cool Pokemon card every day when I'm like, oh, I get free packs, the digital packs, and I like how quick the game is too. I like playing a game of Pokemon, and so if you have any nostalgia for Pokemon cards and you don't want it to hurt your wallet, go do that instead, and you'll thank yourself. Instead of buying, it's like buying scratchers basically when you buy Pokemon cards, right? Like, all right,
That's a good analogy for that.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, what is it, pull tabs at the bar. If you go to like an old dive bar, it's the
Yeah.
same pull tab
Yeah.
investments.
The problem
Um,
I was gonna say
yeah,
I'm on it right now too.
Yep.
yeah.
I'm opening a pack. The problem I have with it,
Yeah,
Casey,
let's
I
hear.
love everything you're saying, right? Totally on board with
Yeah,
it. I get to a point like I'm not getting new cards. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and I'm like, come on.
So
I
what?
want
Yeah.
to finish that deck.
See, I'm okay with not being a completionist on it because what I have a thought like I'm gonna save all my stuff for the
Mm,
next packs so I can come out the gate strong and maybe get something cool. If I get a couple cool, the Pokemon cast, he does the big, it's super effective Pokemon podcast. He had a line that he said years ago that right, like every Pokemon is somebody's favorite Pokemon, right?
mm.
So if I can get
Even
like a Pokemon.
Trubbish.
Even I love mine Trubbish. I think there's worse Pokemon than Trubbish, but yes, even Trubbish. There's some cool Trubbish art out there, I'm sure. Just don't go on
Garbodor.
DeviantArt. But yeah, no, I think it was nice, and a lot of people got back. It just another smart move by the Pokemon Company to keep people talking about Pokemon. And yeah, because Pokemon cards are nuts right now. So
Oh gosh. Did you see the videos of the people running into Costco
yeah,
when the
Yep, yep.
151 got
yeah,
released and just grabbing whole boxes of them?
yeah.
Fools. That's just
No.
foolish.
A bunch, yes,
Foolishness.
yes, and well, because like also, I don't want to be like it's for kids. Like it's not just for kids. Like also think of other people. Because what really sucks is scalpers, right? Or people reselling them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always think of the Family Guy thing too, because like the thing, I have buddies that are avid collectors, and they'll get a box, and then they get a box to hold, and I'm like, yeah, just why don't you just always hold the box? Because the box is like an original base set of Pokemon cards. I think the box is like $15,000 or $20,000, right? Because you're in the hope of getting a Charizard, right? Charizard's $100,000. But I always go to the Family Guy. It's a mystery box. It could be anything. Well, Peter, we can get a boat. But yeah, it could be a boat. Like in a whole, what's in the mystery box, right?
Sure.
So sometimes it's good
Schrodinger's
to,
Pokemon card.
yeah, just let the box sit. If you really want to invest in Pokemon, buy them and don't open them, just like a car. That's your move, guys. But Pokemon TGC or TCG, that's another thing I have a flaw. I always mix the trading game card TCG Pocket. It's a great fun game, and it got people back into Pokemon cards even more.
And card trading is coming to that very soon.
Yes, they just announced that, right? So if you want to build certain powerful decks or you like it, like I'm a Venusaur guy, I just really want cool Venusaur cards. I'd give up a cool Charizard for a cool Venusaur card. In that, not in real
Yeah.
life, because I know
Yeah.
how money works. My pick to go next will be at number 6 would be Marty. Let's hear it.
My number 6 game of the year is Pepper Grinder.
Ooh, that was a cool game.
I love short, little, quirky indie games. And this one was awesome. Like as soon as I saw them like show this on an indie world, I was hooked with the digging mechanic, and it was just delightfully weird and wild. And it was frustrating at times, but I love the ride. It was so good. I mean, if you're a fan of, like I don't even know how to describe it because like it's part platformer collectathon like Donkey Kong, but then there's like you have to like there's not really a game that I can think of that contains like that travel mechanic like it. Um, I think it does. I think sometimes it's a little too slavishly devoted to the grinder mechanic, but
Yeah.
otherwise, I loved it, and the aesthetics and music were just on point. So yeah, rounding out my bottom 5 with Pepper Grinder. I'm gonna pick. Oh, I'm gonna pick Jesse.
Okay, this is a slot where I have an annual game entry that no one else ever has because
It's
it is
Picross.
Picross S Plus.
That's my
The-
number
I knew
one.
it.
How'd you know?
I do it.
S Plus is a re-release of the entirety of the Picross E series from the 3DS.
I love it.
There were like 9 games. The first game was, it was $5. Then each additional one is $5 DLC. So you buy the whole thing is $45, and there's over 3,000 puzzles, and it took me over 200 hours to go through them all.
That surprised
Uh,
me. That surprises me. That's number 6 on your list.
yeah. Okay, well, well, I think the games above it, I think I like better. So,
That it would,
so
yeah, it'll make sense once we hear it.
yeah. Tim.
My number 6 is Haunty. Uh, it was an indie game where you play as a ghost who's trying to ascend, and you try to ascend with an angel, but you get knocked back down because you're not supposed to ascend, and you have to go through the underworld to figure out how to get back to ascension. And it's a very artistic looking game, beautiful game, just a lot of contrasting colors and like almost like black and white, but there's also like brown and black and brown and you know white or whatever. It's just like a lot of different colors, and just the way they presented it was beautiful. The music was also played into the visuals very well. The gameplay was tight. It just was a great game. I loved my experience with it. Just it would have been higher, but I had other games that were just that beat it out. So, but Haunty, I think, is a good one that was also missed that I think people should take a look at. Um, so check it out. I would say who's left.
Everyone's done through their 6, so number
All
5
right.
now.
So I'm gonna do something weird. I'm gonna do mine.
Sure.
Number 5.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone. I was going to do that move, to be honest, if I got picked last. Nice job, Tim.
My number 5 is Tavern Talk.
Oh,
It's kind of like that coffee talk type games, where you get to play as a innkeeper in almost like a D&D type game, where you got player characters coming into your inn to get drinks, but your drinks actually help them on their next adventure. So it can either boost their strength or boost their courage or boost something along the lines that'll help them on their mission. And they'll come back and tell you how that mission went based on that drink you gave them. If they had to use strength, then they'll talk about how they maybe killed everybody or, was able to get through it. Or if they use more intelligence, then they'll tell you how they talk their way out of something. So it's basically a story where each character comes in with a different adventure because they get their adventures from you, from your board, because of all the people who come in and talk to you. And then eventually it ends up being an overarching story for you to complete that entails your history and background as the innkeeper. There's recently a new DLC that came out with it that I haven't had a chance to play yet, but and I wasn't even expecting a DLC coming out for it, so I'm excited about that. But Tavern Talk, again, was a great game, nice laid back. There's no battling going on other than just you doing a reading and selecting and making choices on what drinks to give some people based on what they're talking about.
this
So
looks like a
Tavern
Casey
Talk,
game. This looks awesome.
number 5. And so Casey, go ahead, go with your number 5.
Oh man, I'm adding this to my list, by the way, of games to try and play. My number 5 is surprisingly Princess Peach Showtime. I enjoyed that with all its flaws because it was the first video game my daughter asked for. Now she's asking for that. So this is my daughter is 6. She's finally really kind of got into gaming, like she can move the controllers. A student this year got I got a gift card for like you could buy it's the 3 game gift card where it was Bowser's Fury and Zelda, and I had that and Mario Party. Now my rule, I never play Mario Party game because that's the only game in my life I've seen people get in fist fights over. Mario Party has been really big. She loves Mario Party. She's also learned the harsh realities of getting screwed over in Mario Party. But Princess Peach was the game that got her over the hump. Getting the outfits, getting the ribbons. When we beat it together, it was a serious like well, are we done? Like, she's like, I can't. And I'm like, no, you can go back and play the levels again. She was so like, happy that it wasn't over, right? And like, she's become this little gamer gal. She loves playing Stardew with me, but she doesn't do any chores. She just sleeps in her bed all day, and she acts like you go clean up the farm. She RPs while she plays it. It's pretty funny. Um, but it was to watch her like start to want to play Mario Wonder and all these other games. Princess Peach was that key for it. She loves Peach. She likes Rosalina even more. So there's just this connection. So Princess Peach is always gonna have a special spot in my
That
heart.
Daisy?
Not Daisy's like whatever to her. She's always like, let's pick Daisy and Birdo to beat up on in Mario Party, right? Like that's her enemies. Um, and I always have to be Donkey Kong. I don't know what that's about. She's like, I have to be. She's pretty funny. She like likes to guide the play. But Princess Peach, and then like the just like the different costumes. There was so much that I hope Princess Peach gets another game on Switch 2 because there's a lot of potential there where I make it a little harder, right? Like we talked about, the last boss isn't like I never felt in danger. I think it was made for younger kids, right? Obviously,
Oh, it
but
definitely was.
there was some really cool sequences in it, and it was really fun. And the level that I was really surprised she liked the most was the detective. That's the one she played over and over, right? Because she liked looking for the clues and doing that. It's just I have so many cute, sweet memories from it. So that's why it's my number five. What's your number five, Marty?
So my number five is a game that you just mentioned. It's Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Ah, nice, nice.
And number five for lots of reasons. One of the biggest though is that we played this game together as a community the first weekend it was out, and we did the Derby and we did the Bowser
A lot of cool
That
stuff.
was
Bash
that was a lot of fun.
or whatever, and we had a ton of fun
Yeah.
playing that. But I also enjoy playing it with my family, playing it with my kids. I think that this game has a ton of variety. Um, just in the way that the boards, you move around the boards, like with the race cars and the other things, including some of the nostalgia games. A lot of the mini games are also super fun, works really well. And then they did. The only thing I don't really think that is all that great is they tried to shoehorn in some kind of like customization ability, customize the plaza with the banners and all that stuff. And I'm like, I really don't care about that. I really just wish you'd put in more boards and more mini games. That if you're gonna include a feature, just more boards, and then make some available via DLC. We say this every time a Mario
Yes.
Party comes out.
Yes.
That's money on the table
Yes.
that they never do. Just give us, like, if they would do nostalgia packs of boards and say like, hey, this is three boards from Mario Party 1, 2, and 3, and then
Yeah,
4,
for
5, and
real.
6, and then 7, 8, and 9. Those. This is a board that was only on Mario Party DS or something like that. Bring a few games back. That would be killer, and I
Marty.
do think that people would sell that
Marty, what if they
or
did
would
a
buy that.
what if they did a partner pack where say they get together with Capcom
Oh,
and
come
do
on.
a Mega Man board?
Come on. That's wow. Yep, shivers. I would love that. Like, well, and I think too, like, what could they do even in like the Nintendo space, right? What about a Metroid inspired board? What about a
Heck yeah.
Zelda
Yeah.
inspired board? What about F-Zero inspired board?
Pokemon inspired board.
Mhm.
Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if, like, what if they made a board off the best selling Nintendo game of all time, Chibi Robo? I mean, that would be fantastic.
Splatoon board.
I think we're talking
Yeah.
Oh
about
yeah,
Smash Brothers meets Mario Party. That's the
Yeah,
evolution, and
I
so
How about
becomes
yeah.
Genshin
I
the
mean,
Giant?
they've dabbled in
Or
that with other games, and I think when they do that, it always succeeds. Like
Mhm.
people are always like, "Oh, I want more of that." Lean into that.
I think
That'll be great.
if there's any franchise that they could really experiment with that model in regards to like revenue risk, right? In regards to what people will do
Mario
versus
Party.
I think Mario Party is it. And I think we all talk about like, hey, you could have like the ultimate Mario Kart and you kind of take the same approach. That's so big of an IP in regards to moving units that's probably one you don't want to risk around with. But I think you could really do hey, we're going to do one Mario Party for the entire Switch 2 cycle, but it's part of your NSO subscription. Bing, 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 right? You get all these boards that come out, like bundle those things together.
Yeah.
And I think that you really have yourself a formula. I'd love for them to get a little bit experimental with that. I'll get off my
Yeah,
soapbox.
yeah, it would be
Agreed. No, I
well.
100% agree with that. I'm with you
Yeah.
on your
No,
soapbox. You
same.
got room for me there?
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm
will
with
take
you on that.
everyone on my soapbox in this
we
one.
can hug. We can
Nintendo,
hug
I
and
know,
all sit on
Nintendo,
the
we know you
soapbox.
listen to us. Call us,
Yes.
right? We have a voice line. Email us directly. We'll talk about how you could do this.
If we
Yeah, we'll
disappear, it's because they've taken us away and put us in a back room connected to computers to our brains and sucking all these ideas out of it. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, we have good ideas, just they don't listen. Well, Justin, I want you to
What?
stay up on the soapbox because I want you to go ahead and give us your number 5.
All right, my number 5. I'm actually shocked this ended up on my list. This is not the typical game that you would think of when you think of Justin playing games, especially in a Game of the Year conversation. And I will say that this game hooked me so much, I started downloading it in other locations so that I have easy access to it whenever I want.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, my number 5 game, Balatro. I am not a card game kind of guy, but I will tell you this game is on all of my Switches, easily available, and thanks to Apple Arcade and my subscription, I downloaded on my new iPhone 16 and the nice larger screen. And I will lay in bed and play Balatro, and I will lose hours and runs in Balatro.
oh my gosh, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it sucked me. It sucked me in. Yeah, it's so. It was so good.
Okay.
Nice.
Papa Timothy,
All
I
right.
think
I'm getting
I
your
think I'm
lungs
the only.
COVID. Apparently, it's transferable.
I think I'm the only 5 left.
Okay, Jesse.
Okay, my number 5 is the Plucky Squire. Mine probably ended up higher than everyone else's because I did not play it on the Switch. I think I played it on Xbox. So a lot of the system issues I didn't come across. Though I do remember coming across a logic bug and maybe a game crash, but I was able to work around those. But I did enjoy the 2D, 3D conversions. The 3D wasn't as fun as the 2D, but I did enjoy it overall. And so I put Plucky Squire as my number 5. All right. Now I'll let Tim do his 4.
Okay. My number 4 is Little Kitty Big City. I had so much fun with that game, just being a cat roaming the city, but having puzzles to figure out how to be able to send back to my human's apartment to get back home. That it was really fun game. It was a lot more fun than I expected. There was a lot more about the game that I wasn't expecting. Lots of things to collect, lots of things to do. And it was, to me, the right amount of time to spend in a game and be able to beat it. So that is why it's my number 4, Little Kitty Big City. I will say, let's go with Justin, number 4. Back to you, sir.
Sure. My number 4 game is Mario and Luigi Brothership. I really enjoyed my time with this game, and it was interesting sort of playing this and then also playing Paper Mario, and then also last year playing Super Mario RPG. Like I felt like I was really kind of starting to wear out on the RPG, but I think the elements that they provided, I just had fun playing it. Let's just be simple. And yes, there are some quirks about like I have to backtrack a little bit, and okay, this should actually be the B button, but it's the A button. But in general, I just had a good time with it, and I felt engaged with it. I liked the change in the art style a little bit, and it felt fun. So yeah, that was my number 4. Casey, what was your number 4?
My number 4 was one that you mentioned earlier. Was Another Crab's Treasure.
Nice.
I like hard games to play. I like Mega Man. I consider in that vein, or Hollow Knight. Like, I don't mind beating something out of pure spite and stubborn. Actually, a thing I've learned, I'm gonna be 40 this year. I am willing to quit games now. I realize, like, why am I playing this if I don't like it? That happened with Eden Chronicles. That's the one good thing. Whereas if a game's challenging me, if it's hard and I'm dying because it's a skill issue or whatever, I don't mind that. I will continue to get better at something because I know that's the hump. You know, but like Another Crap Treasure is just so funny. The loan shark, when that character is introduced, the little talking thing was great. I don't know if how far you got into it. Did you get into the part where you're in the water and there's a giant CVS report?
I
You
think
know the
so. Yeah.
CVS receipts. You
Yep.
know the receipts you get. So there's one and like it's comically long that he has to go on in it, and then like just the shells, like the red keg cup or like the
Yep.
baby shoe. It's so good. They do everything good, and it is challenging, which is good. But it's layered in humor instead of like I think if the Elden Ring comes to Switch 2, as rumors have talked about, I think that's a game I will lose a lot of my life to. But I think Another Crab's Treasure is a nice like whimsical way of doing the same thing. And Krill's a great character. I think I just
Yeah.
really liked him, and that was a really fun game, and I had a really good time. Like I'm still working through it, but I've when I think of like games that made me happy this year, it was that with like out of doubt. Jesse, what's your number four?
When I was sorry, Casey, when I was at
Oh,
PAX West, I stopped by there.
yeah,
Their booth got to play it hands on when it was still demoing there, and I actually bought a Krull pin.
pin, nice,
Yeah, that's on my PAX lanyard
love
over
it.
there, actually. So,
So you saw the potential there too.
oh, I knew. Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, it's on my list. It's on
Yeah,
my
yeah,
list.
yeah. I hope they get do another iteration and they get some more money and they can keep doing what they're doing. So Jesse,
Okay.
sorry,
In,
back to
in a
you.
rare occurrence where Justin and I agree on something, Mario and Luigi
What?
Brothership is my number 4. Yeah,
Seems outrageous.
I did enjoy most of the game. The last 10 hours did slog on, which I expected it because that's kind of a trope of Mario and Luigi games. So I saw it coming. It didn't make it feel any better, but I was still, and that last fight just went on forever. And I was glad when I was done, but I did place Brothership as number 4. Marty.
Well, let's just call it a turkey because my number 4 is also Mario and Luigi Brothership. Uh,
Wow.
because like I'm feeling like getting up to 4. We're talking about games that just really made my day this year. Starting at 5, so Mario Party Jamboree was one of those. Mario and Luigi Brothership is one of those. I thoroughly enjoyed this game until, as Jesse talked about, like the last 15 to 10 to 15 hours of the game. That was where it did the typical Nintendo RPG thing where it got unnecessarily hard and enemies, got all these unnecessary modifications that just seemed to come out of nowhere. So I felt like it drug on a little bit. The final boss fight can also go die in a fire. It's terrible. Whoever thought that was a good idea? We need to talk. But just overall, the variety of islands, the sailing the seas, it kind of reminded me of Wind Waker in a way. And the 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 combat actually wasn't all that bad. I thought it was pretty forgiving in places with timing presses. Um, and just aesthetically, one of the best looking Switch games, period. So I really, really enjoyed that game. And I love that they've brought life back to the series. I'm looking forward to what happens next.
Yeah, I think is the best Mario and Luigi game that we've had since Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah. So that's everybody's number 4, right?
Yes.
Well, then let's do you know what? Let's start back at the very beginning. Casey, what's your number 3?
My number three. Surprisingly enough, because I'm a giant Ninja Turtle shill. And I messaged you, Marty, about this game because I saw it came out on Apple Arcade years ago. But TMNT, the Splintered Fates, the roguelike Ninja Turtles game, was my number 3. If it's Ninja Turtles, sign me up. Here's my money. Just take it. I'm the Fry meme from the internet. Like, just shut up and let's go. For my friends that like Diablo, it's been a great way for us to nerd out together. Like when they come over, like my couple friends and they have like a husband that plays games. They all that like more hardcore games. They love this game too because it's nice and quick and easy and it gives them that Diablo or Path of Exile like dopamine hit that they want. I think that I would like to see them do more things like that. You know, the Ninja Turtles had a good year too with the Ninja Turtles Fortnite stuff. Like they got their own game mode in that, which was pretty cool, but it's not as good as this. Um, I I would like to see more roguelikes with like the what they did in Shredder's Revenge with more characters, like give us character options, or let me actually build a character. Just make Diablo with Ninja Turtles. Let's just do every video game genre with Ninja Turtles, right? Let's get a JRPG. Let's get an action platformer. I just want to see it because they you can't go wrong. But it was really great, and I hope to see more entries like that. And I like that you're getting like there was some really great stuff on the Apple Arcade that a lot of people didn't get to see, and I'm glad that it's more accessible now. And if you're a Ninja Turtles fan, like the way they did the characters like Leatherhead or Wingnut or any of them, it's very true to the cartoon and comics. And it's Hades. It's Hades with Ninja Turtles, which is also another great way to
Yeah.
put it, right? And so that was my number three. What is your number three, Tim?
My number three is Balatro.
Ooh.
It was also one of those games where um, I spent a lot of time in it. I still go back to it as well when I want that kind of like poker fix, um, and just try again to try to get that run in. I still can't figure out a good combination to get those millions and millions of points, in the higher levels.
E18,
Yeah,
E21.
exactly. I have not hit one of those yet, but still, there's been some times where I got some really good runs going, and it's a lot of fun to try to get to that point where, yeah. And I love poker games, especially Texas Hold'em, those type of games. But this was a lot of fun. Just to play, get a handful of cards, try to make a poker hand and get the best score out of it, and trying to use some of the additional jokers and helpers cards to try to get even more points. And their strategy behind it is just trying to figure out the best combination of jokers to have to get you that best combination of points. So, and it's going to be one of those games I think is going to live on my Switch until there's no more Switches, I guess. So Balatro is my number three. So in between me and Casey is Jesse, so I'll pass it on to Jesse on the list here. What's your number three, Jesse?
My number three is the third game of a trilogy. It is Cat Quest 3.
Oh, yes.
So I've always been a fan of the Cat Quest series, and when Cat Quest 3 came along, I jumped on that. The oceanfaring adventure that came out the same day as the other oceanfaring adventure game, which is not on my list, but might be on Tim's. But yeah, in fact, when I finished Cat Quest 3, I New Game Plus'd it and finished it, and I'm able to unlock New Game Plus Plus if I wanted to. So it's
Nice.
not that long, and I enjoyed it.
I own them all, and I haven't played any of them yet.
Marty.
All right. So my game, and I want to say this that before I do this, all three games that I have left to talk about were at one time in contention for Game of the Year for me.
Mm.
All right. So these all were like narrow. It was a hard decision to make. All right. But I'll try to explain each one. The number three Game of the Year for me was The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I absolutely love this game. Any Zelda game that they can give me in the Link's Awakening style, I would play 1 billion different games like this. I loved there was so much going on in this game. Zelda can jump, right? Like
Yeah.
without having an item. There's backstory. There's actually a full-fledged like storyline other than get the 9 pieces and go kill Ganon. Um,
Yep.
I it's Zelda is the star. The puzzle solving was so inventive. I never felt bored in the game at all, or like I've got to rush through this. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was so good, and I like. Sadly, I think it flew under some people's radar, or they just didn't even regard it because it was like, I don't want to play a Zelda, or I don't. I think that looks boring, and it's not. Like there is so much exploration and extra stuff that you can do. It's every inch of that map is so much fun to explore. I, I it's a game that I wish I could go back and have the experience of playing it for the first time all over again. Whereas I don't feel that way about Breath of the Wild. This is my Zelda. This is my kind of Zelda, and so the fact that we kind of kick like there's maybe I guess a last little hurrah for the Switch was this game. Fantastic. Chef's kiss number 3. Um, let's go. Uh, let's see who's still going to do 3 here. Let's
I think Justin's
go,
it.
Justin.
Yeah, my number 3 game is Super Mario Party Jamboree. Man, if the kids are at home, right? What are we doing tonight? Can we play can we play Jamboree? Like I want to play with them. I want to like let's do these events together. I love the new boards. We literally actually have people who friends that we got this for them for Christmas and said like we'll meet you
Mm,
online, we'll play online together, and so love that opportunity together. Recently I discovered there's new boards that unlock as you get further in, and like that was like, oh my gosh. There's a lot of variety to play. Like Mario Party is just fantastic. And I think this is for the Nintendo Switch, this is the Ultimate Edition one. Like if someone was, hey, which one do you get? This is the one you need to get.
yeah.
I
Yes.
think
Yes.
I think
100%
they
agree with that.
like so it's Mario Party. It's a ton of fun. I love it. It is quintessentially why I love Nintendo. It's got all of those
Yeah.
elements of, and it's the family coming together. It's all of us on the couch. We've all got Joy-Cons. Oh my God, you stole my star. I can't believe that. No, you get mom, right? Like all of those, the couch co-op, couch chaos that I love as a gamer, as part of a dad, as a family unit. Jamboree delivers on that, right? And I absolutely love it. Yeah, so that's why Jamboree is my number 3.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Casey, what is your number 2?
Number 2, for me, is a DLC, and it's a DLC of a game that I could play for the rest of my life. I think it's probably in my top 5 games of all time, and it's the ultimate just one more run, or the ultimate. Let me look at my clock, and I've been playing this for 5, 6 hours. Vampire Survivor. I got the Ode to Castlevania DLC, and I'm not a huge like Castlevania guy. I've heard I love the anime. I have some memories watching my dad play the NES ones. It's something I'd like to get into. But just getting back into Vampire Survivor, oh yeah. Like it's just so simple. You just move. You're not really doing anything, right? But you watch screen, you watch the numbers, you watch all the monsters. Whatever they did, I don't know if they used whatever algorithm to figure out, hey, how can we make the most addicting game ever that takes no skill and
Per-
just random
Yeah.
luck? Like, hey, you just oh, I'm on a run, you know? Like
Yeah.
I'll watch my buddies play on Discord too sometimes. I was watching my one friend play the other night. I was like, oh, get that. We were talking about what he needed for the build. And this is a good personality test. I would like because we've all played Vampire Survivor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's your guys' favorite item in Vampire Survivor? Like weapon, like to
I
start
will
with.
always start with the guy who has the garlic. So it's the shield.
Garlic's great. Everyone loves garlic. Garlic's a good choice.
I'm
I
gonna be
like.
honest with you. I only just recently got into Vampire Survivor.
Yeah.
Like in December is when I got
Okay.
into it. Again, thank you Apple Arcade for free games
Yeah.
that look great on an iPhone, right? When you do this, so I'm still learning it, but I will say like I see the addiction, I see the cycle, I see what they're doing. So I can tell you my favorite one is because right now I'm all level one with all of them. So
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't remember enough about it. I only played it during the free week.
Okay. It's a free iPhone app game too.
yeah,
That's the other thing. If you guys just want to download the app and then you just have to watch ads if you die. Was that you, Tim? Are you a Vampire Survivor
I didn't
addict at
play it
all?
enough to see all the
Okay.
weapons, but when I did play, it was a lot of fun. And I think I had a weapon that were like floating Bibles or something.
Yeah, the Holy Book, and then it
Yeah, I had
becomes
those.
yeah,
I loved having that all the time.
yeah.
Every time I saw that come up, I'd always select it and had that.
So I'm working, Casey, to unlock the Among Us character.
Oh yeah, that's the DLC. I was looking at that one the other day too because I was enjoying that one. Okay, and then they
I
have
just
the
think it's
level, right?
hilarious that they're in there. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
they have one
great.
of the actual Among Us levels.
Well, they did a roadmap that they were like, it was just a random picture they released, the company that makes it, of the roadmap, but it's not a roadmap. It's just this weird, like, poster amalgamation of like a pentagram, Earth, planet, space. It doesn't say what it is. And it's like, this is our roadmap for 2024. And then, like, people are starting to, like, oh, the space was Among Us and things like that. Um, for me, by the way, it's the lightning because you get a duplicator ring and it duplicates all your projectiles. So
Uh-huh.
if you guys get lightning or start with lightning, it's like cheat mode. Garlic is the right answer though, because it just you smell bad and it gives you a shield and it keeps the vampires away. It's so good, and so it's like it's this beauty of simplicity. I could write poetry about this game. I love it so much. Uh, but I would love to hear what your number two game is, Tim.
My number two is, I think, what Jesse was hinting at, SteamWorld Heist 2. It is that pirate water robot game that Thunderful Games and the SteamWorld Games group did. And they gave us a code for it, and it was one I was already looking forward to playing, and it had a lot of fun. It's basically side scrolling. What do you want to call it? It's turn based strategy game, tactics game. Instead of like top down, you get a lot of that
Right.
grid,
Where
based type
where
stuff.
unlike Fire Emblem, where your two dimensions are like X and Y, this is an X and Z. Those
Yeah,
X axis. So you're doing vertical movement.
and I was having such a fun time just doing my strategery throughout the game, and just getting more of the story and all that fun stuff. And again, shout out to the SteamWorld team for the game, and even they sent us a box, and I was lucky enough to get that box that from the Nintendo Dad's headquarters. And in that box, they gave us a SteamWorld Build Joy-Cons that were given away at some time. And I have them like right here that I have them, just one of the most awesome things that happened in 2024 for me. That would be number one on my list if it was a thing that we did, but getting that and having that box and then I thought it was candy and I dropped it out and there were Joy-Cons. I was like,
Oh,
just like almost in tears too. It was so cool. But yeah, SteamWorld Heist no, 2 is number 2 on my list. And
nice.
so I'll jump up to Justin.
my number two, I'll be honest with you, similar to Marty, my number two and my number one swapped back and forth, and I was challenged with it, but ultimately I had to make a decision. In my number two game is Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. Um, Marty, you said it so well. This is such an amazing, fantastic game. I love the feeling of sort of like a link to the past, right? Kind of back to that isometric 2D Zelda world, but then infused with the trappings, problem solving, out of the box thinking that we became so accustomed to in Tears of the Kingdom. And I also love the fact that this is a Zelda story, right? Like this is awesome. And so if you're like, if that's not you and you're angry because you played it because you didn't play because it was Zelda, bugger off. All right. This is absolutely an amazing game. Loved every moment of it. Um, yeah, it just Marty, you waxed poetic on it, and I can't do much better than that. But this is like this for me is an absolute highlight of 2024. And again, similar to Jamboree, this is Nintendo magic at its best.
Hmm.
This is the moments you like you smile and you're like it reminded me of playing Super Mario Odyssey at times.
Mm.
You're playing and you're just having a great time and what you don't realize is your face hurts. And you're like, why does my face hurt? And you're like, because
Yeah.
I've been smiling constantly for the
Smiling. Yeah.
last 15 minutes and I am joyful. And they do that well. And they did that such a wonderful way. If this is indeed the last game for the Switch, which it's not, right? But like big big Nintendo tentpole game, then they have done very well by it. And I think beginning the Switch with Breath of the Wild and finishing it with Echoes of Wisdom is a beautiful story that Nintendo has put together regarding the Zelda franchise and the Nintendo Switch specifically. That's why it's number 2 on my list. Jesse, what's number 2 on your list?
Mine is Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. Uh,
Wow.
I didn't get around to finishing it yet. I got maybe 2/3 through, somewhere between half and 2/3, and then put it down to play Xenoblade. And then I recently picked it back up again to try to finish it. So I'm still working on that, but still, I was, I don't remember the time, but I'm well over 30 hours in, so I think it's, uh, enough time to say, yeah, this is my number 2 game. Okay.
Nice.
Marty, I think you're next.
So this number 2 is a game that when I first heard about it, I said that's stupid, and I had made it up in my mind to hate this game. I'm serious. I did not want to like this game. I just thought, what is the big deal about it? And then here I am at the end of the year, and it's my number 2 game of the year because I'm still playing it daily, and that's Balatro.
Nice. Yeah.
I love this game. I love it. I love the simplicity of it, but also the complexity of it. I love that it's weird and creepy sometimes at the same time because
Yes. Yeah.
it's sometimes it's kind of unnerving, like the way the cards are presented and things like that. I love the thrill of I'm almost going to beat it and then it's snatched away. I don't know why. Like I'm like Justin. I have this on my Switch. I have it on my iPhone. I play it mostly on my iPhone
I
because
do have it on my Android phone
it's
as well.
easy to
Yeah.
play there. And I'll tell you, Nintendo was not my introduction to it. I only tried this out because it was a free game trial on PlayStation 5 on the PlayStation Store, and I downloaded it on a day when I didn't have anything to do and burned through the entire hour immediately
Yeah.
and went, well, I've got to buy that. And so I at the time it wasn't on Apple Arcade, it was on Switch, so I bought it there because I wanted to be able to take it with me. Um, and I mean, I love card games, especially when there's a hook. And so, at first when you guys were saying, especially Tim, you and Jesse were just like, it's poker. And I'm like, oh, who cares? But then when I played it and I saw the twist and
Yeah.
I really got into it and started like unlocking cards and then it was like, oh, I just need to do one more run. I just need to do one more run.
Yep.
And to this day, I mean, I'll still play 5 hands a day, just to, or however many that I'll just get lost in it and play it for a while. Full disclosure, I'm playing it right now on my phone. It's just, but it's one of those games too that, like Hatch Tales, and I mentioned earlier, is a drop in, drop out. Like I can quit that run and come back to it, or I can finish a run and be like, okay, I'm done, or I've got time for one more. I think there's beauty in that simplicity. And I did see this week they've crossed over 5 million copies of it sold now. It's a justifiable banger of a hit, and yeah, just super cool.
So real quick, I want to mention this was a game I went back to, especially when I was sick and I didn't want to do too much focusing on other
Yeah,
like story-driven games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So it was a lot of Balatro. So yeah.
cool.
Before we go
Gotcha.
into, we're on to number one now, right?
Yep.
Before we go to number one, does anyone want to give like an honorable mention? So a game that was sort of didn't quite make the list, but like something that maybe you want to throw to the attention. We can go
Mhm.
around the horn for honorable mentions, and then we'll move into our number
Sure.
one game. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start with that then. For me, that honorable mention game will be Prince of Persia, Lost Crown. That is a game that I played, and I love that. I love the game. I got frustrated with it, and I mean, just full disclosure, got just frustrated with it and put it down. But it's one that I want to go back to. I've seen so many people talk about such an enjoyable experience with that, and I want to find out, like, okay, why did I not have that experience with it? And so I'm looking for like a gap where I can take a weekend and kind of like really dive in and dig into that game. And I think part of it is just like the push to like be in an area that I'm not supposed to be in yet. Like, oh, let's see what's down here, and then I get murdered by some hornets that broke out of a um, toxic nest or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not
Those
supposed to be here
doggone
yet.
toxic nests.
So yeah, that one is that one. And if I get a second one, I'll say Super Prince, or not Super Princess Peach, but Princess Peach Showtime. I think that is I don't I think that being mean to that game is kind of unfair, because I think that is the wheelhouse of Nintendo being wacky and weird and trying things, and I think we need to celebrate those things, even if they don't like always come across as the best game. I think it's worth celebrating that. Hey, you tried something new, and look, guys. I mean, like in this console cycle, we got Zelda and Peach starring in their own games. It's kind of cool.
What sells it for me
Yeah,
is Casey's daughter having a good time with that game.
Yeah,
So hey,
yeah, absolutely,
that's
it's
it. That's
it's
it.
absolutely.
yeah, it's low hanging fruit to pick on it. Like we could be poopy and do all that. Like I'm sure there's like yeah, I get that. That was because like I used my honorable mention to actually hate on something because I was just so disappointed as I said that. And I try and moving forward in life, like uh I see people on the internet will do this with like restaurants. They'll talk about the places they hate, and it's like you don't need to do that. Like just don't talk about them, right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm moving
yeah.
forward when I don't like something. I'm just not going to talk about it.
Well,
My
then,
honorable
what are your
mention,
honorable mentions?
it's a non-Nintendo game though, and
Okay.
it's Marvel Rivals. That game when it comes to Switch 2 and shit, I was talking about it on the pre-show. It's so good. So good. Good team shooter. Everything feels really good. I hope they don't try to balance it because everything's out of balance. It is a balance. There's no meta. Like it's not, everyone has to be this. You're not seeing the same characters. You can go to game and like this person likes Luna Frost. This person likes Cloak and Dagger. This guy's a Hulk. I've seen some Doctor Stranges that are great. Like I play Groot a lot, and I like a world where there's a free team shooter esque. It's not even a shooter because if you're Wolverine, you're not shooting. You're just slashing, right? So I like that because I'm bad at shooters. So if I need to go in and smack somebody, I can do that and contribute to the team shooter. So good. So that would be my honorable mention for, and hopefully we'll see it on the Switch too.
It's a good one.
Jesse
Go, Tim.
or Tim? Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just talked, so I was throwing it to him.
Okay, well, I don't have any honorable mentions because I barely came up with the 10, but what I am counting, all these honorable mentions, I count as like an 11th. So it still gives the game more credit, less credit than if it was a 10, but more credit than if it wasn't set at all. So,
Yeah.
All
Tim, do
right,
you have
so
any?
I had a handful that because again I was building my list and then as I was trying to place things, some things fell out. I'm not going to go over all of them, but a couple I did want to mention because I want them to get counted. I guess since you're counting them, Jesse. Hatch Tales. is one of my honorable mentions for a lot of the same reasons Marty had. It did. It was a very frustrating Kickstarter, obviously, for us, but what came out of that frustration is an excellent game that Atui put together and that team put together, and I think is deserving of an honorable mention, at least from me. It didn't get higher because I didn't play enough, and also because other games were higher on my list. But yeah, honorable mention for Hatch Tales. And Jesse, I don't know how you're going to do this, but and I asked you this question, but I have to mention it. I'm just going to say Digital Eclipse games from 2024, the Lamasoft Jeff Minter story, the Atari 50, and the Tetris 4 Forever. I just absolutely loved those games. I love what Digital Eclipse is doing with those, where you get to experience an interactive documentary, where you get to learn about the history of these games and the history about these companies or these people, and then play the games that these people made or you remember as a kid, or maybe you didn't get a chance to play because there were so many different variations of it. So just shout out to Digital Eclipse for making these games, and I look forward to whatever else they come out with in these scenarios or in interactive documentaries. So
So since Tetris was already on the list, someone else mentioned it, so I put it in 11. The others, I can add it, but they'll just be tied for last place. So
right, okay, that's it. I will say Marty. Did you already do? Oh, you did our
Yeah,
honorable mention,
Justin
right?
needs to do his honorable
Justin,
mention.
you need to do it. Yeah.
My honorable mention is Animal Well.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah.
was really a unique experience. When you first look at it, you're like, I feel like my eyes hurt, right? There's a lot going on there, but like every scene is crafted meticulously to discover something in there. And it is sort of through these unique mechanics of experimentation and um, that you begin to unsolve some of the puzzles associated with it. And there's a hook in it that kind of keeps bringing you in. And I think it's a game that is well worth your time, but you just have to have a bit of patience with it. But it feels like you're slowly like opening and solving a larger puzzle in unique and different mechanics. And I was very impressed with it.
Nice.
Okay. So that's it for our honorable mentions. We're now going to our number one individual game of the year. Casey, let's start with you.
Well, my game of the year came really early because this year I didn't game as much as I do in other years. I had a hard time with my list too, because life sometimes gets in the way, and we all have different seasons, work and things. But this game really stuck with me. It was a game that I would like wake up and want to play, and I've thought about it a lot, and I kind of want to go back to it again. I beat it, loved it. It was Unicorn Overlord. That
Oh
came. It's
yeah.
Vanillaware and Sega. Came out like early March, and again, everyone's getting off the high of 2023. You got Zelda. I had Octopath too. There's games I love there. And then the thing for me was it did what like I didn't really care for the last Fire Emblem, right? And I'm a big Fire Emblem. It did what I was missing from Fire Emblem. You could build really unique units. There was little power ups. There was like resource finding. It's the same company that did that Sentinel 13 Sentinels too. So the story is really good and the art's really inventive. But the open world map where you could move your armies and have your armies go and attack things was just a really fun. Like I could set a battle and be like, all right, no, this could be 20 minutes, or I could do this in 10 and duel. And it respected your time, but you could also invest. I was invested in like, oh, what's this person's story? Let me build this unit. Oh, maybe put this character with this person, and I'll have a cavalry unit. Because certain people could be by each other's sides or formations. So there's all these little layers that it's like an onion. You kept going and going and going and going, and it just got deep. The gameplay got super deep, and it's one that I really think that people that love like tactical strategy games should absolutely play. And it was a like out of nowhere home run. It ruled. Unicorn Overlord, must number one game 2024.
So I'll quickly mention that. So including you, 4 people mentioned it in our community. The lowest ranking was 3rd. So it not many people played it, but those who played it loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one that everyone should go back to.
Okay. Your pick.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna let Tim. Let me hear it. What was your number one?
My number one is The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. For all of those reasons why Marty and Justin mentioned, but for me, it's basically a 2D version of Breath of the Wild for me. Just the freedom you had and the exploration you could do, but the same feels as the guys mentioned of like Link to the Past or Link's Awakening or even Link Between Worlds. Um, just the new things you could do that you're like, what else can Nintendo do with a 2.5 view of Zelda? And here they did this. And you're just like, okay, give me more. I can't wait what else they come up with. But I had so much fun. It was the right size game for me. I didn't feel rushed. I think Marty, you were mentioning about, not feeling rushed. You were having a good time. I had a smile on my face, just like Justin was saying, every time I was in it, just having a good time, just enjoying the story, the interactions with Zelda that that NPCs would have when you'd walk up to them, talk to them. Um, a lot of this, like I said, a lot of the similarities. I was just like, this feels like a 2D version of Breath of the Wild because you were seeing a lot of the same stuff you saw there in interactions, and just loved every moment of it. And I now have to figure out where this game fits on my all-time favorite Zelda list. So Zelda games list. So, but it is my number one for 2024.
The
And then
biggest miss that I see in this game that Nintendo, I think they did everything so well. But for the love of Pete, why is there not a Zelda amiibo?
Yep.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
you can see it, right? With the cloak over,
To
it's
go
got the
alongside the
staff.
Link amiibo from Link's Awakening.
Like
Yes.
100%. Like I was like, what do you like? Why? And I know that they've moved away from it. Like they're only basically doing Smash amiibos to finish off the line. But I was like, this feels like the perfect. I want that
Mhm.
little statue. I want it on my ledge. Grr. And they did amiibos because they did them for Tears of the Kingdom literally the year
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
Sorry,
They
I
can
forgot.
do a Link the Zelda one. It doesn't have to be for Smash. They
Yeah,
need
I
to come
forgot
out
Mhm.
about
with
that.
it as the
Come
last
on.
last one. That should be the last one they do, for sure.
and and then throughout in general from the community votes, Echoes of Wisdom were on the most number of lists. There was
Okay.
13 out of the 20.
Nice. Go ahead, Marty. Did you do yours yet? Number one.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Go ahead.
And okay, so here we go. Controversial. Number one game of the year is Astrobot.
Okay, so
100. Mhm.
what I'm and Trent General, and I don't know if I said this during the pre-show or during the show, but I'll say it again just in case. Traditionally we've always been Nintendo only, but there's been a lot of people wanting a general list, so I've been keeping two lists. One is Nintendo only and one with everything. So there are
Well,
games
then,
on. So
yeah.
Astrobot will go on that list in your number one slot, and in the Nintendo list, you just won't have a number one.
Okay,
That's how I've
that's
been
fine.
handling it.
So, for me, though, I will say that it was undeniably the number one game of the year for me. Uh,
And you weren't the only one.
the Reggie Fils-Aimé said it best this week when he was quoted as saying, "Astrobot almost out Nintendo'd us this year." And when Justin was talking a minute ago about Echoes of Wisdom and having that smile on his face, and like it's like, why am I smiling so much? That was Astrobot for me. Um, I it's it was just pure joy, like just the everything. I 100% of that game. I don't do that for every game, but it was just I kept coming back to Astrobot. It is the full package. It is incredibly, incredibly beautiful. The sound effects are amazing. The way they use the controller in time with the speakers on your TV or soundbar, whatever you're using, to create different layers of sound effects, particularly like him walking on different surfaces and that coming through the controller instead of through the other speakers. The variety of worlds, the controls were incredibly on point for the type, and they had to be for a type. And like it's to the point where there, and people who've played Astrobot know this. There is a bonus level at the end of the game if you collect all 300 of the little other bots. Right, you get everything. You go to this final challenge level that's incredibly difficult. And it's based off all four symbols on the PlayStation controller. And even with that incredibly frustrating level, the controls are so precise in that game that if you mess up, you know it's your fault. It's not like one of those games where it's like, well, it shouldn't have done that. I clipped through something or I did this. Nope, you messed up, and I guess for that reason too, you could train yourself to like muscle memory through those things. Overall, it was when it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, I was like absolutely 100% well deserved. More games like this, please. Because and why it's Game of the Year for me is that it's not only was it a fun game, but it showed that there is a place for art style directed games to have their impact in our culture today, where everything screams realism and teraflops and ray tracing. It doesn't matter. Astrobot was so much fun, and I want them to make 1 million of them. Like I said with Echoes of Wisdom, that engine just make 1 million Astrobots, and it'll be 100%. I would not. I mean, if you're sitting there and you're going, "Why was like?" I would not. I don't lightly put a non-Nintendo game as my game of the year, but it is this year. There's nothing else that could have been in that spot.
Well, I think here's the interesting thing is you'll hear a lot of people complain about it, right? Like, oh, Mario, Nintendo, all this stuff. PlayStation being in this position, having that level of success with a family-friendly platformer, and I know you're all going to be angry at me. I'm going to put my business hat on right now, is fantastic for the industry and fantastic for you, Nintendo
100%.
fans, because Nintendo now has to be pushed. Competition is what drives us to be better. Nintendo has owned that crown for so long that sometimes they can become complacent. I'm not saying they have been, they can be. And this is an opportunity for them to say, wow, we need to think differently. We need to challenge ourselves and we need to push the envelope. So this is great competition. And I hope Sony has amazing success with it. And I hope Team Asobi continues to do this. This is tremendous and such a great place to be. And I love Reggie's comment.
If you don't think that Astrobot's success did not make the next Mario game, 3D Mario game, immediately better, you're insane. Because they had to have seen that and went, oh my gosh. This is the equivalent of walking up to the bully's door and knocking and calling them out, right? And I'm not saying Nintendo's a bully, but it's like the insurmountable odds, because who platforms better than Nintendo? Nobody, except for Team Asobi, because they just did it. And so that's it. Might drop. Game of the Year, Astrobot. Let's go, Jesse.
Okay, my number one, where am I here, is Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. I've said for a while that this game, the GameCube version of this game, has been my favorite Paper Mario game of all time. And this is just that with the new coat of paint. It still has its flaws, but that's part of the game. It does lighten the load a little bit, adding more shortcuts that didn't exist to make when you have to do the back and forth not so tedious. So if you didn't like it in this game, it was worse in the GameCube. But yeah, so I did, So I knew what I was getting into, having played the game before. So there was no big surprises here. So, but I still loved it, and that's my number one game, Thousand Year Door. Justin's got the last one.
I did not realize in January of 2024, the first game that actually I ended up playing in that year, we got access to it a couple weeks early. I had no idea as I jumped into it that it would end up being my game of the year. And I said it though. I said it after I reviewed it. I said it on the podcast. I said this game will somewhere be my top 5 game of the year. And I'm excited to say that my number one top 5 game of the year for 2024 is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This game, this is a great example of becoming sucked into the gameplay. This is a game that I kept thinking about playing when I wasn't playing it. This is a game that began to challenge us to think about new and innovative ways to mark our maps. It created a new system that allowed for us to move into it effectively. It grabbed me. Your palms were sweaty. It was challenging. It had accessibility that if it became too hard, you're able to adjust it. I literally finished this game the day before it was released publicly, and it was 25 hours that I played the game in less than 2 weeks. That for me is an indication that I was sucked in and loved every moment. I literally took my Nintendo Switch handheld to my parents and played on their couch one night. They had gone to bed. My kids were in Lethbridge. My wife was in Lethbridge. Can't remember why I was there. But I finished it like there by myself because I couldn't stop thinking about this game. Then later in the year, they roll out the DLC. Of course, I get the DLC and I'm back in it, and there's challenges and they've upgraded. And they did an amazing job in 2024 with this game. You wanted to keep coming back. They dangled that carrot. This was such a fantastic game that unfortunately, criminally, a lot of people didn't play or didn't bother to. And I don't know if it's part of the Ubisoft like challenge of don't worry, it'll be discounted later and you'll get it later. And I've said this on the podcast. This is on sale right now. You should pick this game up. And ultimately, the end, which is so heartbreaking, this game did not perform financially the way that Ubisoft wanted it to. And in the end, the team was disbanded and sent away. It is a story of a game and that people had a rise that people enjoyed and ultimately was destroyed due to poor decisions at a managerial level. If this game is on sale, you need to pick it up. This game is on a lot of top 10 lists. I think this is such a fantastic example of an amazing Metroidvania game. And I am so sad that this is probably the only time that this game in this manner will come out. If you said there was a number 2 or 3 on its way, man, I would absolutely love it. This was a banger of a game for 20.
It seems like only journalists and media played this game. The general public completely ignored it because, another 2D Metroidvania. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and that really hurts my heart because I think you're missing one of the best. And I know it didn't land for everyone. I know Marty didn't land for you in that way.
And I didn't like the combat. I just played the demo.
Yeah, I found it so fluid and fun. And maybe it's the fact like I had played it at PAX West several months earlier with Adam Leonard from Megadads, and this is the first game that I played, and we both walked away. We're like, "Holy, that's amazing!" And I was like, and it's playing on the Switch really, really well. And sometimes we don't see that from a third-party developer, and sometimes we don't see it from Ubisoft supporting Nintendo Switch, other than like the Mario and Rabbids. This was such a great game, and it breaks my heart. That's it. That's all.
Wow. So is that it?
Nice.
Okay, so I have entered all the data. I've sorted the list, and I have the top 10 games of the Nintendo only. And we can go through that, and then after that, I can touch on the 2 non-Nintendo games that made into its top 10. So, starting with number 10, we have Splatoon 3 Side Order. Number 9, Another Crab's Treasure. Number 8, Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. Number 7, Unicorn Overlord. Number 6, Mario and Luigi Brothership. Number 5, Prince of Persia: The Last Crown. Justin's vote, I think, bumped it up a slot. Number 4, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Number 3, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. This one surprised me where it landed. Number 2, Balatro. That was like number 4 or 5 before we started this. But everyone putting a vote in for it bumped it up. And then number 1, of course, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. That always has been on the top and wasn't going to go anywhere.
Nice.
For
That's
in
a good list.
yeah in the list of everybody, even though none of us mentioned it, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth ended up in its 10th slot, just ahead of Another Crab's Treasure. And then Astrobot got into the 6th slot between Lost Crown and Brothership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal. So that is our official top 10 list of 2024. If you agree with us, disagree with us, whatever, we would love to hear your thoughts over by sending us an email or commenting. And we'll check out some of those comments on our next episode as we get to that. But there's a couple other little news items I want to share before we skip to our next segment here. And that is, as of our recording time tonight, there are brand new Super Nintendo games available for your NSO app on the Nintendo Switch. These are Fatal Fury 2, which is really interesting that we're getting an SNK game from that, as well as Super Ninja Boy, or Super Ninja Boy, which is a continuation of a series that was on the NES as well. It's kind of obscure, but it looks like it has some RPG elements to it as well, which is kind of interesting. And then I'm probably going to butcher this name, but Sut Akin or Sute Akin.
Sute Hakun, I think.
God bless you.
Okay.
Oh,
and what is that?
I don't know what it is. I know it's a Super Famicom only game that came across, so it isn't translated. I don't know what. I haven't looked at the videos, so I don't know how.
It's like you're like a glass
what it
snowman.
is.
It's weird. It's not weird. I shouldn't say weird. It's different, but it's a platformery. Kind of looks like a game that you would get on Switch now for like $3 that someone just made. But you're like, all right.
One of those games. All right. Well,
yeah.
Go try it out for 5 seconds or something. Also, Undying will be out on Switch on February 11th. And that rounds out our news for this week. Let's discuss, shall we?
Do we?
All right.
Go ahead, Tim.
So okay.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
All right. We have our question of the week, which is, what have you learned about yourself as a gamer over the past year? I was hoping to get more responses on this, but maybe some people had to think about it deeply or look at themselves, at what they learned. But let me go over some of these answers we got from the community, and I'll get your responses here from everybody on the podcast. First up, we got Zablanc that says that I really like PlayStation's trophy system, and I really want Switch 2 to add one. That's what Zablanc learned about himself over the last year. Hoot said, I learned that after only formally playing 3 2024 games last year, I can still have a grand old time playing video games on a budget. And David Bellicka says, I learned that the Game Pass model is not for me. Paying a monthly fee for a wide selection of games that are either not to my taste or games I have elsewhere, or paying just because something eventually might show up, is not something that is cost effective for me or my family. I do have NSO and feel that this is a different offering for my particular taste and family. So guys, what have you learned about yourself as a gamer over the past year? Casey, you're our guest. You get to go first. And I think you kind of hinted at it when we were talking about our top 10 games.
I kind of learned, like, I've always felt like, oh, I need to beat my games. I need to play my games. I need to do that. To really, like, appreciate a game, you have to play the whole thing. You definitely don't. I now know, like, hey, if I don't like this, I'm not going to waste my life short. I want to be with my kids. I want to be with my wife. I want to be with my family more. Like they grow up so fast. When I want to play a game, I want to play stuff I like. Like I don't mind replaying games. I was about to refire up Octopath 2 because I love it so much. It's like comfort food. That's something I just it's okay. Even if like because all part of me it's been wanting to do like the podcasting and the things like that and playing the games, but I think the whole landscape's changing. I don't think people need that. I think people just want to hear honest takes, not like outlandish things. And play what you like. Play what makes you happy. Video games are make you happy. It shouldn't make if you don't like what you're doing, you shouldn't be playing. That's not the purpose of a video game. Right? Like rage, hate playing. I'm not gonna hate play anymore. I'm just not gonna play. That's my big reveal this year.
I think you're
Yes,
muted there,
sorry,
Tim.
I was
Oh,
muted.
okay.
Sorry.
I was
I
like,
was
did I go deaf? Oh no.
no. Sorry, Jesse, what do you have?
Mine is that I have to be better at prioritizing things.
Okay. All right, prioritizing Justin.
I don't like to read.
All right.
Yeah. Right? Like if you like I don't mind a little bit of reading, give me a little bit of story and then let's just jump in the action. But if you are bombarding me with menus, I'm looking at you, Metal Gear Slug's tactics.
I
so
know.
angry at you. Your idea was good, but I want to jump in. I want you to like honor my experience as a gamer that I've had for over 40 years, and believe that I'm intelligent enough to do these things. And also, uh, my time is valuable. Don't waste it. It angers me. Like I just want to jump in. Jump in. Let's go straight to the action. I know that probably seems like really crude, but like I let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's a good one. So I brought this up at the beginning of the year when I was on John's PlayStation Daily Plus podcast. We were talking about our resolutions, but a few of the resolutions probably actually derived from this. What I've learned about myself is that when it comes to bigger games, especially the ones that I find are really cool and would love to play, and I mean bigger games like it's going to be like 100 hours, right? Like Xenoblade, I'm sure is going to be a lot of hours to play. I've learned that I can't get caught up in the FOMO, especially if it's a new game,
Right.
and think, yeah, I want to totally play that experience and have that same experience everybody else is having, and then not finish the game because it's a 100-hour game, or I would say 50 plus for me. I found kind of like that sweet spot where my mind is definitely engaged in a game and will stay engaged. If it's, I would say 20, 25 hours, and anything up closer to 50 is starting to get to that, is this game going to end type feeling for me, like we talked about in our top tens. So I've learned that I have to, as much as I may want to play that long game, there may be a game that I pick that's long, but it's going to be that one game that I'll play throughout the year, like the Xenoblade game. That's that game for me right now. Maybe there's something else later on after I've beaten Xenoblade, but I'm not going to pick another long game. I'm trying my darndest to not buy another long game saying, yes, I'm going to play that eventually and end up not playing it. I'm not going to do it until I've beaten the current game I'm playing that's a long game and get it done. And that's what I've learned as a player. So great stuff, great answers from the community. Even if you didn't answer in time to be read off here, we'd love to hear more about that. And it just you can drop it in the comments if you've listened somewhere here, or leave a review from the podcast, or come in our Discord. Leave it there. We'd love to hear your responses to that question of the week. What have you learned about yourself as a gamer over the past year? So
Awesome. I like it. That's a great
that's it.
question, Tim. I love that. Casey,
Yep.
I see that you've got a drop. Why don't Casey you give us
Yeah.
like a quick like what do we need to do? Follow you? How do you support?
Yeah.
And then let you give your time back.
Follow me. Thanks, guys. Sorry, I have a sick daughter, and you guys are always so cool and flexible. I love Nintendo Dads. I do your shorts when we have games and new games, and I'm really looking forward to talking about what we're going to do with the Switch 2 at launch. I have some ideas. I was hoping to stay later, but I got a sick kiddo in bed, and Dad gets the night duty because I have an early day ahead of me. But just come, please like and share our shorts, subscribe to Nintendo Dads and the videos that I do here. If you want to talk to me, X, or in the Discord, I know that we have a nice Nintendo Dad Discord. You can get that by subscribing to the Patreon, I believe, and getting access there. So please come do that, because that's where the community really is. But yeah, comment, like the shorts, give us ideas for shorts, tell us what you want to see, and things like that. Other than that, you guys rule, and I am excited to see what we do and you guys do in 2025.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks
Casey.
for being here, Casey. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. You have a good night.
You too.
Thanks, Casey.
All right, Justin and Jesse, how do you guys want to end out? Because I know we ran long with the top 10.
I think this is a fantastic place to end for the night.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Do you want to take us out there, Tim?
Sure can. I'll try not to cough while I'm doing it.
Do you want me to do it instead then if you're not feeling well? I don't want you to.
I know I'm fine, feeling fine. It's just that trying to get over that stuff. So, but anyways, first a huge thanks to our Patreon producers Dave Ernsberger and Jacqueline Amir, and our other 100+ patrons. Next, a special thank you to our 15 Twitch subscribers and over 1,458 Twitch followers, and a shout out to our 7,860 YouTube subscribers. We're getting up there, and maybe this year we'll get to 10,000.
That'd be awesome.
10,000, maybe. Thank you, though, to everybody who listens. We would not be here if it weren't for you. For every different way you're helping supporting us by either doing a Patreon, subscribing, leaving comments, sharing with other people.
Those Twitch monthly streaks. I know someone sent in an email about it. Sorry we didn't get a chance to read it in the show. We did read it, but thank you for that. Like those monthly folks who are giving us a Twitch sub every single month. And I think this I saw earlier we got 6 gifted subs. Man, those are all things that help us to build this community. So thank you for that. We cannot say that enough. Thank you.
Every way you guys are helping, it's just awesome, and we love it, and especially because it makes us a stronger community. Check out our website, nintendodads.org, for being able to see everything that we have, not just for us, but from our family of podcasts, plus the podcasts we support, like Mega Dads or Dad's Crossing. Those are our friends out there who are podcasting. May not be part of the family of podcasts, but they're our family, right? Our family of podcasts. Our latest YouTube videos are there. Our tweets are out there. Links to all your social media, Patreon, and Extra Life pages that we got going on, as well as a link to our Nintendo Dads merch. But if you're on YouTube, you can see the merch right down below the video. We still have the 10th anniversary stuff out there, but they'll eventually disappear. So get your 10th anniversary shirts and stickers and whatever there. So get them while you can. And don't forget to check out our sponsor, manscaped.com. Get 20% off your Manscaped order with free shipping with the code NINDADS, NINDADS. Again, use that at manscaped.com. You can contact us in various ways, like we said, in social media, or email us at nintendodads@gmail.com, or call and leave a voicemail at 92925-NDADS, like Christian does very often, and we miss you, Christian. Hopefully we'll hear from you again. Or you can call 929-256-3237. We want to hear more people's voices. It gets you a chance to be on the show, so leave a voicemail. Big thanks to OC Remix for this type of music throughout the show. And download from your favorite podcast app of choice, and please leave us a 5-star review and comment, especially on Spotify. We get a lot of good hits there, so thank you for doing that. For me, for Justin, for Jesse, for Marty and Casey, and to our community who supplied the top 10 list from their point of view as well, this is the Nintendo Dads, and have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dad.